What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing. We're back with another video, and in today's video, guys, I actually wanted to discuss my thoughts on Xilonen and whether or not I actually do think she's gonna be either the power creep to Kazuha or if she's just kind of relative to Kazuha, or even worse, right? I actually do want to discuss this because I think a lot of people in the community right now have been giving their thoughts on Xilonen and saying that she's just super broken, or she's not really that crazy. And I feel like my opinion is kind of in the middle, honestly, but I do want to give you guys my thoughts on where I feel about Xilonen, and we'll talk about her whole kit here on the video, and then I'll kind of give you guys some examples of teams that I think I have as an idea for, and whether or not she's gonna be actually worth picking up or not. If you guys enjoy videos like this, man, definitely make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We are on the road to that 500 subscribers, guys. We really just hit 400 subs recently, so it would be really cool for if you guys hit that sub button, man, and join me on the Genshin journey. But yeah, let's hop in and let's actually talk Xilonen here, guys, and all the things about her kit here. So as you guys can see here, for the Ascension stats, all the Ascension stats right here that are laid out, the main important thing to take away from this is the base defense and the defense percent that she's actually getting. So her Ascension stat is defense percent, and the reason why that's important is because Xilonen is a defense scaling geo character. Defense is going to be important for a lot of the things she's providing in her kit, and we're actually going to go over all the things that the defense is actually important for in her kit. So starting off with her elemental skill here, guys, the way it's actually going to work is going to be through the source samplers. Now, Xilonen has 3 samplers that with her that can generate different soundscapes based on other party members' elemental types, decreasing nearby opponents' corresponding elemental resistance while active. The initial recorded source sampler within each sampler will be Geo, and for each party member who is Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, Electro, one Geo source sampler will actually change to that corresponding element. And while Xilonen is in the Night Soul's Blessing state, the Geosource sampler she carries will always be active. After unlocking her passive talent, Xilonen can actually trigger said passive talent's effect to regenerate Night Soul points for herself. And when Night Soul points hit the maximum, she will consume all of her Night Soul points and activate the 3 source samplers she has on hand for 15 seconds. When the source samplers are active, nearby opponents corresponding to the elemental resistance will decrease, and the source sampler effects of the same elemental type cannot stack. Xilonen can trigger these effects even when off field as well. And the way the actual elemental skill works, guys, is it's just going to be a infusion to her normals pretty much when she does get the source samplers. So right here it's going to say, let the rhythms of passion resound throughout the land. Xilonen switches to high speed combat bleeding gear and rushes forward to a certain distance before dealing Night Soul aligned geo damage based on her defense. After using this, Xilonen will gain 45 Night Soul points and enter the Night Soul Blessing state, and in this state she will shift to the Blade Roller mode, where you're able to get those source samplers and be able to apply the Red Shred off field. And then for the actual multipliers here, guys, on the Red Shred, it's going to be at a max at talent level 10, a 36% elemental resistance decrease, which is very strong. Just to give you guys an idea, Kazuha has a 40% elemental Red Shred due to Viridescent Venerer, right? So you're actually able to get a relatively close elemental resistance shred just through Xilonen's elemental res decrease on her elemental skill. Now, the next thing, guys, is going to be her Night Soul's Blessing Xilonen. Continuously consume Night Soul points. When the points are depleted or used again, the Night Soul Blessing state will end. This state has the following traits. Switches to the Blade Roller mode, increasing Xilonen's movement speed and climbing speed, and she can actually perform high-speed leaps in the Ocelot form while climbing. Xilonen's Night Soul Blessing has following restrictions. When in the state, Xilonen's Night Soul points will have a 9-second time limit, and after this limit passes, her Night Soul points will immediately expire. After Xilonen's Night Soul points have expired while she is in the Night Soul's Blessing state, she will no longer be able to generate the Night Soul points via the passive talent that she has right there, the Echoes one. Now, moving on to her elemental burst, guys, we have the Ocelot point, Ocelotic point. Yeah, activates the Philosian Stereo DJ portable at full power, dealing Night Soul aligned AoE geo damage based on Xilonen's defense. Additionally, she will trigger the following effects based on her different source samplers. If she has at least 2 source samplers that have had their elemental types changed, Xilonen will play an imbuing rhythm, which is going to heal nearby allies' characters at intervals based on her defense. If she has fewer than 2 source samplers and have had their elemental types changed, Xilonen will start with the Ardent Rhythm, which will play 2 additional beats that deal Night Soul aligned AoE geo damage based on her defense. So as you guys can see, a lot of the things in Xilonen's kit are based around her having good amount of defense, which is going to be either through the healing or just for her personal damage as well. Now, one thing to take into account as well, guys, is that for her normals, which I didn't really, talk about, I kind of only talked about her elemental skill and her burst, but her normals in the Night Soul Blessing state will have geo damage or Night Soul aligned geo damage that cannot be overridden, and this will scale through her defense percent as well. And you guys can see here that the blade roller hits on her actual like regular talent level are gonna matter for her personal damage. So if you're trying to do damage with Xilonen specifically, then you're definitely gonna want to level up this talent as well, and not just completely neglect it, just like the elemental skill and the burst. Now let's actually talk about a lot of her passive talents here, guys. So the first one here is going to be the Echoes one. I don't even think I can pronounce that word, guys, but the Netto Tidsali Echoes, right? While in the Night Soul Blessing state, if Xilonen has at least 2 source samplers that have had their elemental types changed, she actually is going to gain 35 Night Soul points when her normal or plunging attacks hit opponents. And this can be triggered once every 0.1 seconds. And if Xilonen has fewer than 2 source samplers that have had their elemental types changed, her normal and plunging attacks will deal 30% increased damage. Now the next one's going to be the Portable Armored Sheath, which is going to be while in the Night Soul Blessing state, when Xilonen's Night Soul points reach the maximum, she can trigger an effect equal to her Night Soul burst. This effect can be triggered once every 14 seconds, and additionally, when nearby party members trigger a Night Soul burst, Xilonen's defense is actually going to increase by 20% as well. So yeah, guys, that pretty much covers Xilonen's base kit at C0. If we're just talking about the character at C0, she's only really providing the 36% Rise Shred, and then also healing for the team if you're not running a Mono Geo comp. Now, the one thing that we do have to understand as well is that Xilonen has a best in slot artifact set, which is going to be the Cinder City one, right? The Scrolls of the Cinder City. So as you guys can see right here, this is Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City, and this is the exact effects that this is going to do as well, because we got to take this into account when talking about Xilonen, because this is going to be your best in slot artifact set. When a nearby party member triggers a Night Soul burst, the equipping character regenerates 6 elemental energy. This is going to be on the 2-piece set. Now on the 4-piece set, after the equipping character triggers a reaction related to it to their elemental type, all nearby party members are going to gain a 12% elemental damage bonus for the elemental types involved in the elemental reaction for 15 seconds. If the equipped character is in the Night Soul's Blessing state when triggering this effect, all nearby party members will gain an additional 28% elemental damage bonus for the elemental types involved in the elemental reaction for 20 seconds. And the equipping character can trigger this effect off field, and the damage bonus from the artifact sets with the same name do not stack. So right there, you actually are getting a total of 40% elemental damage buff from Xilonen through the artifact set. So we're not just getting the 36% resistance shred, we're actually getting the 36% res shred and a 40% all elemental damage bonus. Now one more thing to take into account as well, guys, is going to be her signature weapon, the Peak Patrol Song. Now the signature for Xilonen is actually going to provide her a ton of defense base on this. You guys can see the base attack is going to be 145, and then the defense percent is going to be 82.7% at Ascension 90. And in terms of what the effect's actually going to do here as well, it's going to be gain Ode to Flower after normal or plunging attacks hit opponents. Defense increases by 8% and gain an additional 10% all elemental damage bonus for 6 seconds. Max of 2 stacks. Can trigger once per 0.1 second, and when this effect reaches 2 stacks of the second stack's duration is refreshed, increases all nearby party members all elemental damage bonus by 8% for every 1000 defense the equipping character has, up to a maximum of 25.6% for 15 seconds. So what this means is that Xilonen is not just giving you the 36% res shred, the 40% elemental damage buff. Now she's actually giving you, if you have her signature as well at a C0 for the character, you're actually going to be getting, what is that, 65.6% all elemental damage bonus depending on the characters you're running on the team. That is honestly insane, right? That's a little bit more than Kazuha is fully maxed out. I think Kazuha is only able to provide 40% elemental damage buff at the maximum, and then also the 40% elemental res shred. So at the very end of the day, who is providing more of a buff for your team between Kazuha and Xilonen? I think it is gonna be Xilonen, guys. Xilonen at the end of the day is providing more of a buff, but does that necessarily make her a better character than Kazuha because of just the amount of buff she's providing for the team? Not necessarily. We gotta definitely think about other things too, like the grouping that Kazuha has, and also the damage that he can actually do on his elemental burst as well. When he does swirl the opponent's elemental reaction, it's actually still giving you the buff while dealing off-field damage too. So we gotta definitely take that into account before saying that, oh, Xilonen is just gonna power creep Kazuha, or the other way around as well, where Kazuha is still really good and Xilonen is not as good. I think in that scenario, I think she's if not equal to Kazuha in terms of strength. I think she is going to be a little bit better just based on the fact of her red shred capabilities and the elemental damage buff she's providing with a C0R1 of the character. And remember again guys, this is at C0R1. If we're talking about higher dupes, obviously Kazuha and Xilonen both get better, and that's a thing that I feel like it doesn't really need to be discussed. Xilonen does have a really strong C2, and it is very good if you're someone that is looking forward to like Mono Geo. I'm honestly kind of interested in getting it because I do love running Noelle personally, but I don't think that I necessarily wanna, you know, try for the C2 when I do think that her, you know, R1 of her weapon is actually going to be pretty valuable as well, since I can run it on Albedo, you know, Chiori, and also Xilonen as just a, you know, a universal buffing weapon. So yeah guys, overall, do I think Xilonen is going to be better than Kazuha? I think they're relatively the same, guys. You got to take into account the value that Kazuha provides with grouping, and honestly, Xilonen not being able to do the grouping is not necessarily a bad thing, but it can definitely be a hindrance depending on the floor of abyss you're doing, or you know, the fight you're actually taking into account. Now, with that being said guys, at the end of the day, do I think Xilonen is a really good character? I would say yes. So I would say that she is one of the best characters in the game, and definitely up there for some of the best supportive ability characters in the entire game. Being able to provide up to 65% elemental damage buff, and also having you know, resistance shred on top of that, I mean, that's hard to miss up, man, and that is a really strong effect, especially for you know, a supportive character like Xilonen. So yeah, I mean, again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you guys excited for Xilonen? Will you be summoning for the character? I think overall she's going to be a great option. You know, honestly, at that point guys, just run them both together. Run Xilonen, Kazuha, and then double of a type. You could do, you know, you could do Vape Arlecchino, you could do you know, Nuvolet Farina, you can do Raiden and Kujosara, you know, like you have options. And so I think that because there are so many options with, you know, Xilonen as well, and even alongside Kazuha, you know, I think both of them are going to be relatively equal in terms of strength, guys, at the end of the day. I don't think that she's going to be that much better than Kazuha, but I also don't think that she's like anywhere worse than Kazuha at that as well. Yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you guys think about Xilonen, and that's going to be it. I'm going to see you guys on the next one, man. Peace out. Have a good rest of your day, guys. See you later, man.